Cool Water, a song about a parched man plagued by mirages in a dry and desolate land, was first recorded by the Sons of the Pioneers in the 1940s. Back then, memories of the hard days out west were close and very real to many. Today, those memories have faded, but as spring approaches and the weather warms up, outside activities will increase, along with the longing for cool water. But water has other uses in addition to quenching thirst. Today's Throwback Thursday edition of Morning Minutes in the Bible on An American Missionary looks back to some of those uses discussed in an article written in February 1966 from Plain Talk magazine, Water in God's Plan by Robert F. Turner. In the very long ago, God chose to use water as the means of destroying a sin-cursed world, Genesis 6. I do not know why he did it this way. I'm sure there were many other means at his disposal. But God sent a great flood upon the earth by which he removed the corruption and saved Noah and his family, 1 Peter 3 verses 20 and following. Thus, water became a dividing line between the filthy and the cleansed. When God delivered the children of Israel from Egyptian bondage, he led them to the Red Sea. This was not the regular route out of Egypt. Not far to the north was a dry land route, but God led them to the sea and made for them a path between walls of water. They were immersed in cloud and sea, 1 Corinthians 10 verses 1 and following. When Pharaoh's army sought to follow them, the sea closed on it, destroying this enemy. Thus, water became a dividing line between bondage and freedom. I do not know why God did it this way. When Naaman, captain of the Syrian army, came to God's prophet for healing of his leprosy, he was told to wash in the Jordan 7 times, 2 Kings 5. It does seem a strange requirement. Naaman said, I thought the prophet would do it differently. He reasoned that his homeland streams were better than the Jordan, if water was all that was needed. But of course, water was only the medium chosen by God for this miracle. I do not know why God did it this way. But I know that when Naaman submitted to God's command and dipped 7 times in the Jordan, he was healed of his leprosy. Some may ask, was there anything in the water that contributed to this healing? I answer, yes. Naaman was in the water, where God told him to be. The healing was by God's power, but it was applied to an obedient subject only. Thus, water became the dividing line between sickness and health. When Jesus healed the man born blind in John chapter 9, he used water as the dividing line between blindness and sight. He anointed the man's eyes with clay, then said, Go wash in the pool of Siloam. I do not know why he did it this way. I only know that the man was blind until he did what the Lord told him to do. And when he washed, he could see. God, with divine power, cleansed the world, freed Israel, healed the leper, and gave sight to the blind. In all these manifestations of his power, he used the element water. He asked the subjects to use that water as he directed, and he withheld the blessing until their faith was thus demonstrated. I do not know why. It has not occurred to me to question. And it is difficult for me to understand why people who claim to have faith in God will question his command to be baptized for the remission of sins, Acts 2 verse 38 and 22:16. Is it so strange that God would choose water as the dividing line between the old life of sin and the new Christian life, Romans 6 verses 3 and following? The more puzzling question is how a true believer could reject the counsel of God against himself, Luke 7 verse 30. Thank you, Robert, for giving us a drink straight from God's water hose. The question remains today. Why do so many claim to love God but refuse to enter the watery grave of baptism? Could it be that they don't love him as much as they claim? Honestly, I don't know. But I do know their refusal to obey will land them in hot water, a lake of fire, in fact, Revelation 20 verses 14 and 15. If you love God but haven't repented and been baptized for the remission of sins, why are you waiting? Come on in. The water is just right. Thank you for watching this Throwback Thursday edition of Morning Minutes in the Bible on An American Missionary. Until next time, this is James McClenny hoping you have a great day.